is Bonita, and this is OSG TV. What you're about to listen to is an interview with representatives of the United Professional Chauffeur Welfare Association. They are in charge of the online cab hailing platforms in Nigeria. They will be talking about why Uber drivers went on strike. Okay, good afternoon. My name is Bonita, and you're welcome to OSG TV. Okay. Okay. I'm aware you're representatives from United Professional Chauffeur Welfare Association. Thank you so much for your time. So we just want to know why the protest and what's really happening, because quite a lot of drivers are out there refusing to work for a particular reason, of course, which we'll be discussing this afternoon. So let's start. Why the protest really? Why are the drivers refusing to work with Uber? Should I start from you?
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. Yes, the drivers decided to down tools on Thursday afternoon, and that's as a result of a price war that is going on between the e-hailing cab operators, that is the owners of the applications we're using to operate as cab operators. So the idea basically is they try to bridge the gap between those that need the services, which we refer to as riders, that is people you may call passengers, then the drivers themselves. So the drivers have their cars and they register on the e-hailing platforms. We have different, and the riders also have this application. So all they need to do, perhaps I should just start by enlightening you how it actually operates. Now, what happens is that a rider or an individual downloads these apps from the Play Store, right? Be it Uber application. We also have the drivers who are also registered on this platform. So what happens is that when a rider, like you for instance, needs a ride, all you need to do is just come on your app, you request for a ride. So what happens is that it sends a signal to the closest driver around who is online. And once that signal gets to the driver accepts the request and he confirms your location. It's a revolution in cab operation, really, because the convenience of the driver coming to pick you, then of course the security and the safety of the rider, and of course the drivers are expected to deliver what we call 5-star services. That is, you have to be courteous and polite, and maintain a good relationship with your riders while they're on board. So that's why a lot of people find it more convenient and more preferable to the other or to the old system. So what happened was that an operator came in called Taxify, and that was sometime last year, around November or thereabouts. And when they came in in order to penetrate the market. Their strategy was to reduce their fare. Unlike Uber's fare at the time there's what we call the base fare. The base fare is the amount that actually takes care of the movement of the driver to the destination of where the rider is. That's what the base fare is supposed to take care of. So that distance you cover from where you are as a driver to go and pick up a rider, the base fare is supposed to take care of that. That is your movement. So we have the base fare. Then it's also calculated by the base fare you add in addition to the kilometer covered and the time spent on each trip. So for the base fare was for Uber was 400 naira and 90 naira per kilometer, then 9 naira per minute. So which means if you do a 10-kilometer trip already, on getting to the location, you have 400 naira. Then 10 kilometers by 90 naira, that's about 900 naira, and plus 90 naira, which is 9 naira per minute, assuming that the trip of that 10 kilometers took you 10 minutes to cover. So at that time, if you add this up, that gives you the costs of that particular trip. Now, at the end of the trip, when it calculates and the driver pays you, Uber deducts what they call their commission for using their application, you as a driver. And as till date, their application commission for every driver is 25%. Now, when Taxify came in last year,
That's 25%.
25% of each trip, of the amount.
Okay. Of each trip. So if a trip was
2,000 naira.
25%
Of that 2,000 naira, yes,
okay,
is what goes to Uber as a commission.
okay.
Fine. So the rest of the money goes to you as a driver for the service you rendered. Now, when Taxify came in last year, they introduced a fare reduction. I think 360, 81, 8. That is 360 base fare, 81 naira per kilometer, and 8 naira per minute. So that attracted a lot of riders on board. So they saw they could now make trips cheaper than, at a lesser fare than what Uber was offering. Then in order to also attract the drivers, they also offered incentives, like by reducing their own commission. Now they came into the market with a commission of 15%, but in order to attract the drivers, they reduced their commission at the time to about 5%, so that the driver now takes 95% for each trip covered.
Please, can you explain that again?
Okay, fine. Now, let's assume that I took a trip and it cost me 1,000 naira, right? Now, for Uber will take 25% of that 1,000 naira. 25% of that 1,000 naira is 250 naira. Now, on Taxify, 25%, they take 15% as commission. So that means in their own case, it will be 150. Now, Oga Taxi too was also collecting 15%. So their own commission for that 1,000 naira trip will cost 150 naira. So what these people, what Taxify did was, when they came into the market, that 150 they are supposed to take. If they take 150, that means you are left with 850. You as a driver. So when they came in, they now offered the driver 95% of the amount.
Wow.
So which means out of their own 15%, they forfeited 10% of their own 15%.
Okay. 1 second, please. I think we should drop the microphone. And you are picking everybody because it's looking more like a discussion now. So I don't have the opportunity. It's better. Okay.
Should I go on?
Yes, please.
Okay, fine. So that was how they were able to penetrate the market. So now you have the riders and you have the drivers on board. Okay, so you have the riders and drivers on board. So that's how they were able to permeate the market, to bridge the gap between riders and drivers. Now, even at that, the drivers were complaining because that fare was also ridiculous.
That's with Taxify?
Yes, with Taxify. It was ridiculous because what that means is that if you're doing a 10-kilometer trip, you probably end with at 81 naira per minute, that's 810. Then 8 naira, that's 80 naira, that's 890 plus the 360. So let's take, for instance, I can't actually measure the distance between here and say perhaps Chevron. Let me assume that the distance between here and Chevron is about 10 kilometers or more. So that is what you pay for that trip. Now, we found it ridiculous because it was too cheap and it favored the riders more. And of course, you and I are based in Lagos, and we know the peculiarity of Lagos State. One, and even Nigeria as a whole. One, the cost of fuel is 145 naira per liter. So take away the cost of fuel to move a rider from here to that location. Talk about almost 3 to 4 liters of fuel, thereabout. Now, you also consider the cost of maintaining the car, which is also as a result of the bad roads, or the nature of our roads, which are so bad, especially in this Lekki area. In fact, every part of Lagos, we have very bad roads. So that also has its own ripple effect on the maintenance of your car. So that means you have to go to the mechanic more often in order to keep your car up, right? Then, of course, you also have to buy fuel more often. So it was ridiculous, but they compensated by giving up some of their percentage. That's calmed us down a bit. Now, come last week Thursday, that was precisely May 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 4th. I think May 4th, yes. Now, Uber invited us to a meeting for feedbacks and all. So when there, our expectation, particularly me, was that they were expecting that we were going to talk about the, recent happenings in the industry, which has to do with security mostly. Then, to our chagrin, they came up with the idea of reducing their fare because they discovered that other cab operators have actually depleted their market share by almost 40 to 50%, and they felt threatened.
Okay.
So as a result of that, they now decided to go lower and make their base fare 200 naira. So they slashed the normal fare, the old fare, to about 40%, by about 40%. So which means a trip that you would have made for 1,000 naira would now cost you 600 naira. And that is excluding the 25% of their commission. Now, at that point, when they reduced fare by 40%, they refused to reduce their own commission by the 25% commission, which we were already complaining was high. Of course, most of us, over 80% or 90% of Uber drivers in Lagos or the cab drivers in Lagos are enlightened. Do you understand? And you'll be surprised that you probably have 75% of them as graduates. So now, you now had a situation where you had these people working on this platform and they go home with close to peanuts. They're unable to maintain their cars very well, both in terms of fueling and the cost of parts, which is still soaring. So when they came up with this idea, their idea is that you now have more riders on board, and that means you make more trips. Now, for a suggestion, it was an information that was being passed to us.
So it wasn't a meeting?
It was not a meeting. It was just, they had made up their mind. They just came to pass information to us. Yes. So, of course, at the meeting, we punctured some of their strategy. Now, you need to understand something. This is a game of numbers. If Uber makes rides 100 naira for 500 kilometers, they have nothing to lose. Absolutely nothing to lose. I'll tell you why. Now, let's assume a 150-kilometer journey. It's estimated to be from here, Lagos to Ibadan. Now, imagine if Uber or a driver has to drive from here to Ibadan at 100 naira. Who do you think has anything to lose? The driver. Because he has to fuel his car. But Uber has nothing to lose because, from that 100 naira that the driver is going to fly the road, Uber gets 25%, and they have no investment. They have no investment whatsoever.
So you can't necessarily say that because there's an application here that runs.
Yes, there's an application.
The application is down.
Yeah.
The riders cannot get in touch with you, the car owner. So
yeah, agreed. Okay, sorry, just a second. Now, yeah, fine, you're right. But now look at it this way. How much would you take? What is the minimum amount you pay for Keke Marwa? The minimum amount you pay for Keke Marwa in Lagos is 50 naira. Am I correct? Fine. Now imagine somebody that has to pay 50 naira from here to perhaps Oriental Hotel. And now he has to ride in a tricycle. Is that correct? All the air will blow him, and you have to also squeeze himself in the tricycle with 3 other passengers. And you can actually take a trip of 100 naira for the same distance, riding in a comfortable car. You have a choice to sit either in front or at the back. And the car must be air-conditioned and must be in good condition as well. So why would I opt for a 50 naira ticket when I can actually go on Uber 100 naira? Okay. Do you understand? So the point I'm trying to make here is that now we have over how many million people in Lagos? Out of those people, you have 20 million people in Lagos. So that means if you bring the price that low, that means up to close to 60% of Lagos residents can now afford that Uber ride, which is what they are now advertising now, that riding on Uber is now like small chops. Ask me what is Uber's investment. So if we now have, let's take for instance, 4,000 drivers in Lagos driving their cars for Uber, and Uber has to take 25 naira from each person, how much would that come to?
Okay, so does that answer the cost of maintaining the
Yes,
app?
that answers the cost of maintaining their app, because there's no other investment in the cars. How much are they using to maintain their app? That means all the drivers are contributing 25,000 naira to maintain their app. So what are you contributing to the driver to also maintain his cars or his car?
Okay, so
Because
what
you have to fuel.
are you soliciting for now?
Yeah, what we're soliciting for is that their former rate or former fare should be the industry standard, and the commission should be a maximum of 10% across board.
1 second, let's go on to the next speaker. I'd like to hear what you think about what you just said now.
Yeah, I think thanks for the opportunity. And you see, I actually wondered why a company like Uber, that is actually known globally, will wait for 6 months, for them to actually act the way they acted. Like he actually said, Taxify actually came in November, and you waited December, January, February, March, April. And for a company that is a pioneering company, and is not an indigenous company, it's an international company, you waited for that long for a competitor to get away with 50-60% of your riders. You see, it's actually appalling to me. In fairness, Uber is one of the best app. And I know in some of the countries that they even started from now, they've started inventing driverless cars, and all of those stuff. So if you have those kind of innovation, I actually wondered, why you could actually kind of be a kind of a laxity in making your competitor to actually take the whole market from you before you actually act. Now, yeah.
You have to turn on the AC, it's getting really hot and uncomfortable. So I'd like you to let's just go.
So now the long and short of the whole story is this. Like you said, they came and slashed the price, and personally I've been doing car service for like 6-7 years, even before Uber came. And I drive a 2009 car, it's about 4.5 million. And I know yesterday I know how much I spent on the car. And it's not as if the car is a rickety car, it's a clean car. Last week I know how much. I do 5,000 kilometers every 5 weeks. That means I need to service that car every 5 weeks. And that is the same service that people that maybe work in a bank or in an office go to the office in the morning, they drop their car, and maybe in the evening they bring a service they do in 4 or some people in 6 months. So now, for somebody to now come and say, okay, you're slashing the price, is actually, for me, it's wicked and callous, because because now we're actually suffering for it now because of the fact that, okay, it's a competition war. And when they invited us for some of the whatever the discussion we had last week, I actually asked, now if they are not the owners of the cars, you understand, if they put a 5 million naira car on the road, would they charge that same amount? They will not.
So what would you say is your fair fee?
For me, they should revert back to the whole price.
Of 25%?
No. They should refer back to the whole bar of 400 naira base fare,
Okay.
19 naira per minute, 19 naira per kilometer, then 9 naira per minute, then the percentage. I know it may be difficult, like you said, 10%, but I think if they have 15%, I don't think it will be too bad, because I know for a company that is a little bit adamant like this, with all this that is happening, to come all the way from 25% to 10%, I know it's going to be a tug of war. What I'm saying now in a nutshell is that they should revert back to that hold fare and 10%, maximum 15%.
Okay. That's 10%, that's their commission.
Their commission.
Okay. But now, would you, if you while you were talking, both of you though, you're trying to put yourself in a position of, okay, if I'm the owner of the company, or if I'm the rider, or if I'm the driver.
Yeah.
So in this case, put yourself in the position of Uber.
Okay.
Considering that you have competitors.
Okay.
Do you think, because you also acknowledge that they are responding to the competition?
Yeah.
So do you think it's
if I actually had to put myself in their position, like that's the first thing I actually said, that I don't know what their think tank, the kind of people that their think tank actually composed of. But this shouldn't have actually happened. This shouldn't have happened. Okay. In fairness, Uber app is good. They have standard. They put you in check. So for me, if I'm on the way, I'm in the office and I behave, because you have riders rate you want to be on top of your game. The car is very neat and it's very good. Once in a while, we invite you for training. Nobody will do much than that, even in office. You understand? But if you have those kind of package, I actually wondered, like I said, okay, why would they have to wait to this point, for them to actually act? And for you to actually act in this way, in fairness, in some countries, because we asked one of the white people that actually came last week, they said 25% is global, which is not true. In some countries, they take 10%, in some places, they take 12%, in some places, they take 15%. For instance, in some countries, I cannot be specific now, that the local taxi is actually cheaper, cheaper than Uber. Uber has to force themselves to make sure that the percentage they are collecting and their fare is lower so that they can get more riders. And it happens. Like somebody that I took today was actually asking me, was saying, okay, she would have wanted Uber to actually be in Kano and all of those. And I told her, how much is what you take from one place to the other? The kind of cars they use, at least for now, is about 2006. We just heard maybe they are doing in 2003 now. Will you put a 3-4 million naira car and be carrying 50, 100 naira up and down? You will not, because you're not going to make your money. And the truth is that I'm going to talk based on, people that actually even invested in Uber. There are some people that actually collected loans to go and get brand new vehicles, 5 million, 6 million naira cars. And they are supposed to be your partners. And you didn't put them in the consideration, you just slashed the price. They are paying interest on that loan. Now, personally, they may not be the one actually driving the car because they have drivers driving for them. The driver has to take something home. They have to service the car. They have to maintain it. Like, as we speak now, there are a lot of partners that are actually withdrawing their cars because the business is no more profitable, because they are running at a loss. 5,000 naira for before, we can actually use it to make like 15K, depending on the brand of car you are using. I tried it during this, whatever, I tried it. It was very hard for me to make 10,000 naira. So if you use 5,000 naira to make 10,000 naira, you will say, okay, you made a profit of 5,000 naira. I've not removed the energy, the effort I actually put, the data I actually used, the phone calls I actually made, the expenses on the car. So by the time you remove what do you have left? So the truth is that, Lagos is a metropolitan city and a lot of opportunities here. And I think the population should actually give them an advantage. So even if they are collecting 1 kobo, they cannot actually lose. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm actually putting myself in the shoes now. Once the price is actually okay. In fact, let me just tell you, if they go to a percentage that is actually applicable and is actually acceptable by drivers now, I'm actually sure that they're going to regain all their drivers back, even their riders. You understand what I'm saying?
Go back to 25%.
No.
Price fees.
The base fare at 400.
Base fare at 400.
Per kilometer 19 naira, then per minute 9 naira. Then come the percentage, they reduce the percentage to minimum 15%, or between 10 and 15% if they go. I know they're going to get a lot of guys back.
Well, if I speak as a rider now,
Yeah.
I would rather go for a cheaper platform.
Now, somebody said, my lawyer used to say, he said, cheap is expensive. Yeah. Now, I Tokumbo car, and there's a Nigerian use. Now, when I buy a Tokumbo car, or let me use the brand new cars and Tokumbo.
Well, can you use that? Is it the same on the same pedestal? The comparison now between another platform, Uber. Now you're using a Tokumbo car and a brand new. No.
The analogy I'm actually to make is, why I say cheap is expensive is that, if you buy a Nigerian used car, somebody has used it before, and you buy a Tokumbo, there's a difference in the sense that you may not know the history of the Nigerian used cars. Now, the 300,000 you are trying to save, or 200,000 you are trying to save, you may eventually have to spend it on that Nigerian used car because you want to save money. You understand what I'm saying? Now, if you buy a brand new cloth and you buy maybe a Tokumbo, you always see the difference if you buy original. So maybe wear and tear, by the time you begin, you now discover, okay, or let me use this example now. Some people prefer, okay, house is cheap in Songo, and you're working on VI. You went to go and take a house of maybe 150 in Songo. You understand? And somebody here is living in Surulere that can actually make, if there's no traffic, can make Highland in like 15-20 minutes. And now you go through all that stress. Now, it tells on your body, you sleep in the hold up, the money, the transport fare, by the time you had it together, and even once in a while you visit the hospital, you put all those bills together. Is it not possible for you to put it together and you to get a house in a better place? That's why I'm asking you, saying cheap is expensive.
Okay.
Now, if you tell the riders now, even to come and ride for free, most of the riders, that's a peculiar thing, and most of the riders will want to. But the car that is actually ferrying you from wherever you are going to is not, it's not for free. You understand what I'm talking about? The gas is not for free. It's not in fact, let me now shock you. We used to make this analogy, even the Baba Molika, all those yellow taxis will not take the kind of fare Uber is actually taking now. They will not. The airport from here, all of those airport, whatever you see, if you are coming to the island, the first thing they will tell you that 7,000, 8,000.
But now, what I'm interested in is, have you spoken with...
All right. You're saying so.
I want to ask another question now. Okay, have you been able to speak with anybody, any Uber staff? Over to you.
Okay. Well, we had no, actually, because when we had the opportunity to do that was at the meeting we held at Protea Hotel in Ikeja. So we were of the opinion we were coming for feedback, and incidentally, it turned out to be that they were just going to pass information to us. So if you ask if we have been able to speak to them, I would say no. I know we have different groups. Drivers just come in here and they go out, from time to time, and everybody tries to air the same view, the challenge they are having. Now, if you look around town, you notice that there is surge everywhere, and that's because drivers have realized that this is just not going to pay them. Now, you spoke, sorry, let me just borrow from what my colleague just said. You mentioned something about, of course, the riders would love to ride free, or they would like the fare to come cheap. Of course, why not? If the central bank governor decides to open the vault today, everybody will want to have a feel. But is that the right thing to do? No. What is it going to do? It's going to crash the economy. Why? Because you have money everywhere, so everybody has a high purchasing power. So, I mean, in Lagos, we have different strata, and that's why you have different forms of transportation. You have the rail, you have the keke, you have the bikes, everybody has a role to play. So, I mean, and again, you also have to understand something about this. Now, there is a lot of investments in these drivers. Apart from the financial investment, they invest psychological and emotions into this rides. Why? Because you expect me to be polite. You expect me to be courteous. Now, if I'm not motivated, how do I do that? You get to see a lot of complaints about drivers who are rude and nasty. Yes, there are a lot of them. In every 12, there's a Judas. But you also know that it's also the way, the vibes you send to people is what returns to you. A lot of the riders too have their issues. Some riders come in, they don't set their destination. And they come in, they are very rude, they are nasty. Some even come, when they sit in the car, they just put their legs on your chair, your seat. You know, we have talked about the cost of maintaining the car, which is we have been emphasizing on fueling and buying parts to fix the cars. We have not also mentioned the washing of the cars, which you probably have to do a minimum of twice or thrice a day, depending on where you ply or where you have gone through in the day. And the minimum amount you spend in washing a car is about 500 naira. The rider will come into the car, you're putting on slippers, and you just put your car, you raise your leg and you place it on the chair. Of course, it gets stained. You know, there are different things. Of course, you have riders' issues, you have drivers' issues. But how do you maintain a balance? Everybody has to respect each other. It's a mutual thing. It's a mutual relationship. So you see, there are a lot of challenges. What we were expecting Uber was even going to address was even the issue of the proliferation of attacks on drivers. Security issues. You get a rider that will come, fraudulent riders that will request for Uber, and when the driver gets there, they corner the person to somewhere, they rob him, they even go to the extent of killing somebody. They kill the driver sometimes. A young man was buried about 2 weeks ago. And unfortunately, if you look at their app, the driver's profile are complete. But you see that the rider's profile is not complete. It's incomplete. So to a very large extent, you may not be able to trace a rider as you would trace a driver. So these were the things. Exactly. Because we have discovered there are a lot of fraudulent riders on board. A lot of them, a whole lot of them. You don't want to know what's going on in Lagos. So many things are going on. So what will now happen when you now lower the price? Because at the price it is now, at least a lot of people, the middle class people can afford it. And of course, you don't take Uber all the time. You have other modes of transportation. It's not all the time, even if you can afford it. It's not all the time you want to take Uber. So when you now lower the price, that means you're also giving room for some other strata of people in the society who do not appreciate certain things in life to begin to get on board. So what do you expect? And of course, if you pay people peanuts, they behave like monkeys. So what's the motivation in me driving from here to a location for 600 naira? And I don't know how you feel it will affect my psyche. It's just a whole waste of my time, as far as I'm concerned. So these are our agitations. Now, what I would have expected Uber to have done prior to now, right? There was a promo sometime in November, December, where they decided to offer the riders 50% discount on each ride they take. But fortunately, that wasn't properly managed, because at the end of the day, it just turned out that they just ended up using the drivers to generate customer base, and they didn't compensate the drivers. Because if you took a trip that should cost you 2,000 naira, Uber discounts 1,000 naira. Now, who gives you the balance of the 1,000 naira? Uber is supposed to give the driver the balance of the 1,000 naira. And at the end of the day, they came up with some technicalities and said that you didn't qualify for it. So these are some of the this. So these are some of the things we expected them to have addressed. Rather, they came and just dropped price because they feel they can actually manipulate us and take undue advantage of the situation in the country.
Okay, but now that they refuse to give you audience, what have you decided to do?
Very simple. We have called on all of our members to stay offline. In fact, it's a practical thing. You don't even need to tell them to stay offline, because by the time you go on a trip and you're ending up at 300 naira, 400 naira with an air-conditioned car, you come out in the morning, you spend your time, and you know that distance of 400 naira would probably take about 145 naira per liter of fuel from you. Does it make sense? So everybody's on offline.
So are they going to be using other platforms?
Yes, they are using platforms. That's the beauty of competition.
But the platforms are not favorable from what you both said.
Favorable in what sense?
You said because that is what Uber is trying to do. Join the other platforms and be on the same level. But you said that is not favoring you drivers.
Now, see what has happened. They have realized their mistake, but I think pride is actually affecting them. I wouldn't blame them though. But let's see how long they will stay on it. Now, Taxify, that also, 72 naira. So base fare is 320. Per kilometer is 72 naira, and per minute is 7 naira for Taxify.
Okay.
So before now, they came down to 200 base fare, 55 naira per kilometer, and 5 naira per minute, which is absolutely ridiculous. And their former fare was ridiculous enough. We were protesting that before they came up with this. And of course, they felt the impact, because in the last 5 days, nobody has worked on Taxify or Uber. So what you get to see now is, if you request for an Uber ride, perhaps if you're lucky to get one, it will probably be 1 hour away or 45 minutes away. So that means that's the closest driver to you. Or like before, especially in Lekki phase 1, by the time you request for Uber driver, you see almost 3 drivers camping for that same ride. And you probably get someone that is just 2 minutes away from you. So that has actually affected them. So that's why Taxify considered it. I realized that they are actually making a mistake, and they have retraced their step, even though we are still not contented with what they have done, because it's not good enough.
It's not favorable to the drivers.
No, it's still better.
It's better considering what's but it's still not good enough. It's not good enough, and we're going to give them an ultimatum to review that price. What they have actually done now to encourage drivers is they've offered drivers 100% of what you get.
So I don't think they're even taking their commission.
So they are not taking commission now.
No,
Yeah, it works. They can afford it. So what drivers have also done is to rush to the competitors, and one of the major competitors in the industry is Oga Taxi, and that's where drivers have been riding on.
Okay, so let's iterate again what you really want from Uber.
Now, what we want from Uber is they should go back to their former fare.
Okay, which is at
400 naira,
fair.
90 naira per kilometer, and 9 naira per minute, and bring down their commission.
Their commission of 25%.
Of 25% should be slashed.
Can I like we said, has to go down. I don't know the kind of dynamics they use to come to terms with any idea or something they bring. Now, there was a time fuel was 97 naira per liter. Uber was charging 20%. When fuel became 145 naira, Uber was charging 25%. I hope you got what I said. So I don't see how logical that is. And the truth is this: we appreciate the fact that, okay, it's an app. Okay, it's a company, the pioneer. But can this app do without the drivers or the cars? You see, where is there actually a win-win thing? Now, if there's cooperation, with all the drivers, which we actually been seeing, you can imagine 95% decide to go offline. Now, what's going to happen is that riders will go to their app, they cannot see cars, and if that happens consistently for a while, they will be, what is happening? Maybe at that level, they also can be telling the Uber, whatever, that, what is happening? And you know, Nigerians, we are not patient. Do you have alternative? They port to the alternative. When MTN came to the country, a SIM card was like 40, 45K. If you have it now, you're like a god or this and that. But how much are we buying the SIM card? That Glow actually came, they crash the stuff. So how much how much is the SIM now? It's almost free. You understand? So what we are trying to say in a nutshell is this. Now they should go back to that price. Even at that 25% they were collecting before, people were still a kind of managing with it. You understand? People are still managing. And do you know one thing I want to, maybe I'll just talk about the country generally. Nigeria is a very peculiar country. You understand? That will take advantage of the situation that we actually have here. Most of these guys will actually say, I have a female driver, beautiful lady that is driving on Uber. Not one, not two, not three. I'm driving on Uber that I know personally. One of our welfare secretaries, she died, you are aware, about 2-3 months ago. She's a 41-year-old woman with 3 kids. She was an Uber driver. She died. That was driving on this. And she used to be a human resource consultant. We have people that lost their work in the bank that are actually driving. Some people actually even resign to be driving this. Even Uber has actually put out one day, there's a pilot that's supposed to be flying a plane that they put on the whatever that, I don't know what actually happened. He ended up actually driving Uber and he said, thank God that he's using that to actually cater for his family. So the people, they are not headheads, they are not riffraffs. Of course, you may have the bad eggs, have whatever, but 70% of people they are literate. You understand? That are actually driving this. They shouldn't actually try to actually treat people like a piece of shit. So it's actually very important. So they need to go back, you know, to the base fare, and that percentage has to come down. And whether they come, if they come down, forget it. It may not work in some other part of the country, but Lagos has a population. Why is Dangote actually coming up and all those things now? Even if you don't have, you buy sugar, you buy salt, even with your 10 naira, with your 20 naira, you can imagine 1 million people buys that. That's the volume. Except they want to now provide us with cars that will have AC, that will be very good, that we can be buying for 800,000 naira or 500,000 naira and reduce fare. Then we can actually marry the two together. Even a Keke Marwa now is about 600 or 700K now. A Keke Marwa. An Okada now is about 150K now. So if you're giving us an option, okay, there's a car that you want to innovate that we can come and buy at 800 and come and charge 100 naira base fare. Fine, splendid. But you don't use 4 million naira car, 5 million naira vehicle to go and be carried. It's not done. It's not done.
No profits.
It's not done. It's not done.
Well said. Thank you so much for your time. I hope that eventually both parties are able to reach a reasonable compromise. That's the prayer. So I hope that you have something else to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me just quickly chip in this for the benefit of all. What I want to mention here is some basic things that should run across board. Now, one is the cancellation fee for a ride. For instance, you have situations where riders are not ready to embark on a ride and they just request for a ride. And the driver drives all the way down, 1-2 kilometers, get to their destination, and because they are at liberty to cancel it without any penalty.
And I disagree with that. There's a cancellation.
That's for Uber. That's for Uber. So what I'm saying is what we need to be across board. It should be a minimum standard across board. So the point we're making is there should be that cancellation fee across board. All other apps. That we're also trying to negotiate, because the riders take undue advantage of it. They request for a ride, and by the time you get to the destination, they cancel. Or phone switched off. You know, you wait for the rider, you call, you're unable to get the person. And most times when they even request for a ride, they don't even bother to get in touch with you. And you see, they forget to also understand that, or some of them fail to understand the fact that the GPS system in Nigeria does not function very well. Your GPS may actually be showing Admiralty Way, whereas where that person is may just be off at the route way. That because he couldn't find his own street on the map, he will just pick the closest location.
Okay, but you are supposed to call the rider.
Yes, we call riders, but it's also important that riders try to contact drivers as soon as they make a request. Because in some cases, some of these riders are people who actually use these things abroad, and on getting here, they still have their foreign lines on their accounts. So when you try to contact the person, you are unable to reach the person. You know, so that is one aspect of it. Then again, the issue of security, they need to look at that. Then thirdly, it's important that each application operator should look at creative ways of attracting riders on their platforms. That is very important. In fact, that's the bottom line of all we have been discussing. Exactly, because they are actually doing it to the detriment of the drivers. And the drivers are the engine room of this business. So that means they have no regards for the drivers. So they can afford to get the drivers to roll their cars 100 naira per 200 kilometers. They have nothing to lose because there is no investment. If they had investment in these cars, they won't go that low. Trust me. So they should look for creative ways of attracting riders on their platform, not cutting what is supposed to go to the. That's like robbing Peter to pay Paul. So they should look for creative ways of attracting riders to their platform.
These apps have any form of. Do they come to your association first of all?
Well, prior to now, we didn't have an association that they could talk to, but now there is one existing, and in fact, we're almost done with the registration. I will have a legal advisor, so we are going to be communicating them officially, you know, on matters that concerns the drivers. That's why we have the Drivers Welfare Association to address these things.
Lastly, I think on that creative way of them kind of to actually get riders. You know, it when I was coming on the road on the radio now, there are jingles. Those jingles are not for free. You know, those jingles are not for free. On the billboards, you know, a lot of people have been saying it. You know, those billboards is not small money for those adverts. And do you know, like you said, the drivers at the engine room will market wonderful innovation. But, you know, they shouldn't take it too far. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Basically, you want you would like to meet with Uber. You want them to consider what you are offering. That's one. Then you want a rider verification system to be in place to protect your riders. And then you want them to have creative means of attracting riders instead of cutting into your own profits. Am I correct? Okay.
It's at the detriment of the
Drivers. Okay. That's
the expense of the drivers.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. I'm really grateful for this opportunity. I hope that when next we call you, you'll come around. There might be another meeting. Who knows?